Proverbs 1:17. Talking about these wicked guys here that make haste to shed blood and run to evil. It says Proverbs 1 and verse 17, surely in vain the net is spread in the sight of any bird. So Solomon is going back to what he was talking about here earlier in the chapter. If you look back in Proverbs 1:11, here's what he's referring to. He's referring to them laying in wait, lurking privily. If they say, come with us, let us lay wait for blood, let us lurk privily for the innocent without cause. And then he says, surely in vain the net is spread in the sight of any bird. So they're laying wait, but they're doing it in a way that they don't realize that they're going to get caught at, basically. It would be an exercise in futility to spread a net in the presence of one's prey. Right? So if you were going to set a net for a bird or an animal or something, you wouldn't do it when it was standing there. If a police officer is going to try to run radar and catch you, he's not going to sit out in the open. He's going to hide behind the bridge or whatever, right? He's going to lurk privily and try to get some revenue for the state out of you. Privily means in a privy manner, not openly or publicly, secretly, privately, stealthily, craftily. These guys lurk privily. They think that their net will not be perceived by their victims, nor even by God himself, because there's no fear of God before their eyes. That's what it says in Romans 3:18. And in that passage there in Romans 3:18 is the passage where we saw that their feet run to do evil, where we looked at that passage there in verse 15. So we're talking about these same type of unregenerate people here. They don't have fear of God before their eyes, so not only do they think that the net is not going to be seen by the victims, but they don't think that God's even going to see it. He's not going to notice either. And we have some verses for that we're going to look at here. First one is in Psalm 10, verses 8 through 12. These people are foolish enough to think that God doesn't see what they're doing, and they figure that they'll get away with it. And it's true. Most crime goes unpunished. I think I don't know if it's not. I think 90% is in my mind of crimes that never get solved. So a lot of them do go. I don't know if it's 90, whatever it is. A lot of them go unsolved, and you can imagine it's hard to solve a crime, right? Because people typically do it whenever nobody's around. They do it at night, and it's pretty hard to catch somebody like that, right? So they figure since nobody saw it, God's not going to find out either. But they have another thought coming. Psalm 10, 8 through 12. Speaking of a wicked man, and here we're talking about these same types, because in verse 7, Psalm 10:7, his mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. That should remind you of Romans 3:14. Their mouth is full of cursing and bitterness, right? That's the verse that Paul's quoting there in Romans 3. Okay, so Psalm 10:8, he sitteth in the lurking places of the villages, in the secret places doth he murder the innocent, like these guys in Proverbs 1. His eyes are privily set against the poor. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion. In his den he lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. Right? The net is spread in the sight of any bird. He croucheth and humbleth himself, that the poor may fall by his strong ones. He hath said in his heart, God hath forgotten. He hideth his face. He will never see it. Arise, O Lord, O God. Lift up thine hand, forget not the humble. So this guy doesn't think that even God's paying attention. God's not going to see what he's doing there, trying to catch the poor in his net. They surmise that they got their tracks covered. They operate under a cloak of secrecy, and they'll be able to ensnare the guiltless and won't get caught. But what they fail to realize is that there is a, quote, bird, and you'll understand why I'm calling it that. There's a bird who watched them spread their net, and he will deliver them. Remember, surely in vain the net is spread in the sight of any bird. Well, there's a bird in heaven. And I put that in quotes, of course, and I'm not being irreverent. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Psalm 91, 3 through 4. There's a God in heaven that sees all this stuff. Just like Solomon said, that curse not the king, no, not in thy thought, nor the rich in thy bedchamber, for a bird of the air shall carry the voice. Right? God sees things. He finds things out. Psalm 91, 3 through 4 says, surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. The fowler is a guy that lays a net for a bird, to catch the bird, right? He shall cover thee, this is speaking of the Lord, he shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings thou shalt trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. The Lord has wings and feathers here, figuratively speaking, like a bird would protect its young. And the Lord protects when somebody lays the snare to catch the bird, the little bird, unawares. So the Lord's paying attention up in heaven. And he's going to judge these vile men by one of his signature judgments, and that is by using the very trap that they tried to catch other people with, and he'll catch them in their own trap. And this is the coolest part. Psalm 9, 15 through 16. I just love this one. And then I will give you a few biblical examples of how God did this very thing. And it's just great to see poetic justice happen. And we see some of it down here a little bit, but on Judgment Day, we're going to see it in its fullness. And all the people that got away with all the crimes and all the wickedness and all the evil, they are going to find out they have another thought coming. Psalm 9, 15 through 16 says, the heathen are sunk down in the pit that they made. In the net which they hid is their foot taken. It's exactly what's going to happen in Proverbs 1. We're going to see that in the next verse. The Lord is known by the judgment which he executeth. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. Hegion Selah. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. And this is the judgment that the Lord is known by. This is like one of God's favorite ones. He could punish you 7 ways from Sunday, but he really loves to catch you in your own net. Right? That's the one that he likes the most. And then if I was God, or if I had that ability to punish people, I'd want to catch them in their own net too. There's just something about that. That's just the best way to punish somebody, is take what you were going to do to somebody else, you get the same thing. That's what God loves to do. These plans may go unnoticed by the sheep, but not by the shepherd, because his eyes run to and fro throughout the whole earth. Look at 2 Chronicles 16 and verse 9. Yeah, we little sheep down here, all we see is the bad stuff happening and wonder how we're going to make it through this world. But the shepherd sees everything, and he knows exactly how he's going to bring us through it. 2 Chronicles 16:9. For the eyes of the Lord run to and fro throughout the whole earth, to show himself strong in the behalf of them whose heart is perfect toward him. And the second part of that, herein thou hast done foolishly, therefore from henceforth thou shalt have wars. So it works both ways. This king did foolishly, and the Lord was not showing himself strong on behalf of him, but people that's hearts are perfect, he does. The Lord is looking out, he's paying attention, and he's going to take care of people whose hearts are perfect before him. It says in Proverbs 15:3 that the eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. So indeed, surely in vain the net is spread in the sight of any bird. Right? If the Lord's eyes are everywhere, seeing the good and the evil, it is an exercise in vanity to try to spread a net to catch the righteous. That phrase, in vain, that adverbial phrase, it means to no effect or purpose, ineffectually, uselessly, or vainly. So when these guys in Proverbs 1 are setting traps and snares to try to catch the innocent and to kill them, to take their stuff, they are doing so to no effect or purpose, or ineffectually or uselessly, because God sees what's happening, and he is going to right the wrongs. That takes care of Proverbs 1:17.